Okay.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
All right. Are you Kim Fernandez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Speak up a little louder.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Miss Ann, are you ready to go back on the record?
We're back on the record at 11:10.
Okay. All right. Miss Corder, are you going to call? You may call your next
Yes,
one.
Miss Kim Fernandez.
Hi, is it Miss or Doctor?
Miss.
Miss Fernandez, we're so glad you're here today. We've had a very shaky morning, which you probably have observed, but you're going to be giving some testimony. You've been called by the petitioner, and you need to listen to the questions that are asked and answer what is being asked. If you don't know, you could certainly say that. But if it's a yes/no question, we don't need these long paragraphs.
Yes, ma'am.
You will be sworn in, and so I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and be sworn in by my court reporter.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Corder, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Fernandez, could you tell me what's your position at the district?
I am the special education director for the Western Bowie County Co-op that Hooks is a part of.
Okay. And when parents email the school, do you usually respond to them?
No, ma'am.
You don't respond to emails that parents send?
If they send one to me, yes.
Okay. It was mentioned earlier in testimony that, Ms. Schoen sent an email to the district. Is that it? Do you recall? Are you familiar with that email?
No.
Okay.
I know of the email, but no.
Okay. Now that you see the email, would that have been an email that you would typically respond to?
No. The campuses are responsible for responding.
Okay. And as the special ed director, what is the policy that you give to schools about responding to parent requests?
If a parent requests
emails.
If a parent requests an evaluation, then there is a timeline that they would follow.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. Can you tell me a little bit about what Child Find is?
Yes, ma'am. That's where we are charged with evaluating and determining whether or not students receive special education services or are in need of special education services.
Okay, you said we. What do you mean by we?
We, schools in general.
Okay. Is it something that's recommended, or does the law say that you must do that?
Yes, that's what we are charged with doing.
So would it be called an affirmative duty?
I don't know. I would assume that would sound like a.
Okay. And whose affirmative duty is it? Is it the school's affirmative duty, or does it say in there anything about that it's the parent's affirmative duty?
I follow what the school is supposed to do.
Okay. So it's a school's duty to find that's why it's Child Find, right?
Yeah.
To find children within the district that could possibly have a disability. Okay. So does it include students who are homeschooled?
Yes, we will evaluate students who are homeschooled as well.
Okay. And how do you contact homeschool parents?
I will inform the school districts at the beginning of each school year that they need to update all of their postings and their information regarding Child Find. And then the school districts or the campuses or the district coordinator, whoever for each school district, and Hooks, it's a district coordinator, will then make sure that they take care of that.
Okay, so is that the only way that you reach out to home parents? Do you have a list of parents who are homeschooled? Do you keep that data?
I do not.
Do you know who keeps the data for homeschooled or private school children?
The school districts would have that data. The
Okay.
campus or the district administrators.
Okay, so were you aware that, well, let me back up, strike that. Between February 28, 2021 and February 28, 2022, what reasonable efforts did Hooks ISD make to reach out to parents who are homeschooling their children?
They have information posted on their website as well as posters in the school system and on the campuses.
Oh, well, if they're homeschooled or in a private school, they wouldn't really be going by the school. So is there any other way that you reach out to them? Do you send emails to them or send those flyers to any of the parents?
I do not. They have information on their Facebook page as well as their website.
Who's ultimately in charge to make sure that Child Find is being honored or followed?
The campus administrators.
So as a special ed,
or the district administrators. I am the one that lets them know when updates are needed.
so you wouldn't be the person to talk to about whether or not there was any outreach to homeschool parents? Is that what you're saying?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm saying that I let them know when there is something that they need to follow, and then it's their responsibility for following up on that. I can make recommendations to them. I can give them information as I receive that. Once that information is posted, they share that with me, and I go through the assurances on legal framework.
Have you ever posted an ad in the newspaper?
I have not.
Has the district posted an ad, any kind of notice in the newspaper?
I don't know.
Okay. We, in previous testimony, they mentioned a dyslexia night. Was that anything that you sent out to parents, or do you have any evidence that there was a Zoom dyslexia meeting?
I do not.
Okay, so I can assume that that's not one of the things that you recommend to the school as their SPED director?
No, that's not correct.
Okay, would you correct that then? Tell me what
So because of the way the co-op is set up, I make recommendations to them. They have district and campus coordinators or administrators that are responsible for taking care of those pieces.
Okay. Do schools rely on parents to ask for testing?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that Ms. Schoen, it was her responsibility to ask for testing?
Not solely her responsibility, but yes, that would have been a responsibility as a parent to ask for testing from the school.
Do you know where in the statute that it says that parents have a responsibility or half the responsibility to ask for evaluation?
We rely on that information from the parents.
Okay.
That's not the only way.
Not information, I'm talking about is it a parent's responsibility to ask the school to evaluate their child under IDEA?
No, not under child find. That would be our responsibility to seek them out if we know that they need help.
So it's not Miss Schoen's responsibility to ask for an evaluation. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. I'll move on. Did you ever send procedural safeguards to Miss Schoen?
The school district did I believe she received the 504 procedural safeguards.
Are the 504 procedurals, what's the difference between 504 procedural safeguards and IDEA procedural safeguards?
Well, the 504 would be for students served under that program. The IDEA procedural safeguards are given to the students who are referred for or in special education.
And so are you aware that the claim that the due process complaint is that she was not ever given a copy of her procedural rights, or that she did not have any contact from the district asking her if she wanted to have her son evaluated?
Yes.
Okay. So when you talk about 504, you're saying that you did give her a copy of that. When did you give that copy?
I don't know. That's not a process that I was a part of.
Okay. Just to refresh your memory, I'd like you to look at the exhibits that I was showing Ms. Schoen. Let me give you those page numbers. It was the 504 plan. Can you just confirm, have you ever seen the Kaiser's 504 plan? That's 405.
What page are you talking about?
I'm talking about petitioner's exhibit 405, 406.
Mm-hmm.
You need me to pull that up?
I pulled it up. She's looking at it.
Okay.
And just for clarity, that is exhibit number 5, petitioner's exhibit 5. The pages are what?
It's a big question.
405.
406, 416, and 405, and 421 through 24. Yeah, let me straighten that out for you. We'll just go exhibit 5. It's the exact same one that I showed Ms. Schoen. Petitioner's exhibit 421,
It's not.
422, 423, and 424. I'm sorry, did you say something, Ms. Fernandez?
There was a box on the computer. They just took care of it for me.
Okay. So, you're saying for that evaluation, for her 504 evaluation, she would have gotten the procedural safeguards for 504?
Yes, that's what she should have gotten for the 504.
Okay. And is that something I noticed here at the top? It says Texas Dyslexia Law and Section 504 Initial Evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain what that document, why it's called that, or, just kind of talk a little bit about that?
Okay, I'll help you as much as I can, but that's not a program I'm not the director of the 504 program. And so I'm not involved with their paperwork as much as I am with the special education side of it.
Oh, okay. So the 504 department and the special ed department are separate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm not the director.
Okay, that explains. That explains why she was never referred to Child Find if a different department was doing it. So that probably explains why she was never given an evaluation. Is there a reason that, let's see, strike that. Were you aware that Kaiser had a disability?
Prior to the due process, no, I would not have any information on Kaiser.
Well, now that you see this,
Mhm.
and you're here in, in this, you're the head of special ed. And so I'm asking you, did you all ever seek out, okay, let me back this up. So I'm going to go ahead and switch a little bit. I'd like you to look at exhibit or page number 297, 298, 299, 300, 302. It's a document and it's dated February 26, 2018. It's under the exhibits for TEA guidance to LEAs.
What was the page number again? 297?
It starts at 297 to 303. It's dated February 26, 2018. Are you familiar with this document?
I from 2018, I don't know. I have not seen that recently. So,
but typically these type of letters from TEA, when they say to the administrator,
I do not receive the TAA letters.
Hold on.
Okay.
Y'all are stepping on each other's lines, and you haven't seen Miss Ann's head blow yet.
I'm
But
sorry.
it will. Question and answer, and then question again.
Yeah.
So just kind of remember. Go ahead.
So February 26, 2018, there was a letter to administrators. Have you seen that letter? It's in the exhibit. It's 297 to 303.
I don't know if I've seen it or not from 2018.
Were you working with the district in 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Do you get these letters to administrator from TEA? Do you get these?
I do not get them. No.
Okay. Who gets them?
Usually it's superintendents. If the districts have a state and federal programs director in their district.
So as the head of special ed, you're saying that all the TEA correspondence goes to the superintendent?
Yes, they get the TAA letters. I do not get the TAA letters.
Does the superintendent send them to you and forward them to you?
Usually if I receive a TAA letter, I will get it from, I'll get it from the Region Service Center or from a superintendent or another administrator on campus.
And did you get this particular letter from anyone?
I don't know.
Okay. So you're not aware of any updated info on SPED?
Yes, I'm aware, but that's from 2018. I don't know if I received that specific letter.
But you don't get any of these letters?
I do not get them directly.
Guidance?
No,
okay,
ma'am.
I'll move on. So based on the district's response to the motion, it was a response to our due process complaint. Your attorney put in his motion that there was no contact between the district and Michonne during the time that she left the district. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody leaves the district, because you said you didn't have any particular knowledge, that you didn't know he had dyslexia before he left the district. Wouldn't it be an obligation of the school to reach out to a parent who, leaving the district, never had an evaluation for special ed?
If they felt that an evaluation was needed at that time, they could certainly do that.
What would rise to the level of feeling that they need it? What information would you have to know?
Well, if a student was not responding to an intervention that they may have been receiving, that would be something that would trigger an evaluation from the school district.
Okay, and if you've looked at the exhibits, you know that he wasn't responding to a lot of the treatment. He was, I just showed you the exhibit, and in particular, the exhibit number 406 was his teacher, and this was on 1/23/2020, so right before he left the district. She was talking about his problems with his dyslexia, saying that, he had very poor spelling, very poor written expression, below average reading skills. So would that be something? And then reading high frequency words is a struggle. Spelling tests are difficult, as well as phonics assessments. So would that be enough to warrant having somebody, seeking out consent for an evaluation?
Okay, hold on that.
Okay.
Mr. Mercy.
I have an objection to the question. Number one,
Okay.
it inserts facts that are not necessarily in evidence. Number two, it's leading. Number three, it is an attempt to put in testimony that is not in the record before this witness, and this witness is not qualified to answer a question like that that's somewhat hypothetical.
Well, I will gladly withdraw that question, but I will say that when I did ask for a person to testify on behalf of the district responsible for special ed, I did say that I wanted the person that, could speak to all of the issues regarding special ed for the district, and it appears that that she may not have all that knowledge. So I may have to, I'll withdraw the question. I'll just keep moving on. I know we're tight on time here. So, did you ever, during the February 28th, 2021 and February 28th, 2022, did you ever send a letter to Ms. Schoen giving her procedural safeguards?
I did not, no.
Did you ever invite her to the Hooks dyslexia night?
I did not, no.
Do you encourage the school to send those out to parents? Is that something you normally do, to send out dyslexia night information to the community and to parents that are outside of the school?
Again, I'm sorry, that's the dyslexia and 504 coordinators at that time that would take care of that.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay, Mr. Mercy.
I'll reserve my questions to my case in chief.
Okay, all right. Do you have another witness, Ms. Corder?
Yes, I'd like to call Regina Staffa.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
May Ms. Fernandez be excused to go back and wait until our case in chief?
Oh, yes, of
Get
course
off
you may.
camera.
Yes,
Thank
you may go do your business. All right, is Ms. Stappa on the line? There
Yes.
you are. You're right in front of me.
Thank you for being so patient. Having you move from a different spot in line.
No, that's okay.
Well,
Okay.
Ms. Stafford, you've already been sworn in and you've heard the admonition, so I'm just going to go ahead and let Ms. Carter start her direct.
I just need 1 sec. Okay, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Staffa.
Good morning.
Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where are you employed?
Academic Therapy Center.
Okay. And what do you do in your job?
I'm a certified dyslexia therapist through the state of Texas and the professional organization of ALTA, and a certified effective reading instruction through the International Dyslexia Association.
Okay. How long have you been a dyslexia therapist?
About 13 years.
Okay. Have you had specific training in a variety of research-based dyslexia therapists?
Yes.
Can you name some of them?
Take Flight. I just recently completed Reading by Design. I've done basic language skills, and then some other sub-programs like Language Foundations and Just Words by Wilson.
Okay. Have you ever served as a dyslexia instructor in a public school?
Yes.
Do public schools contract with you to provide dyslexia therapy to children who are enrolled in the school?
Yes.
And about how many children with dyslexia and related disorders have you worked with over the years?
Our practices serviced about 800 families.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to offer Ms. Regina Staffa as a licensed dyslexia therapist and certified academic language therapist expert.
Mr. Marcy, any objections?
No objection if it's limited to that expertise.
Okay. So accepted.
Thank you. Ms. Staffa, can you tell me how you came to know Kaiser Schoen?
His mother had reached out to me and said that she was frustrated because she felt like she was doing a homeschool program and that he wasn't progressing, and that his brother had dyslexia, and so she thought he might as well.
Okay. What kind of information did she tell you about his academic history?
She told me that he had repeated kindergarten, that she had thought that that would help him with his reading, that she had pulled him out of school. I met with him in March of 2022, and then she kind of went over the reading programs that she was doing with him, which were Good and Beautiful by Jenny Phillips and Barton Level 1, and that she was using lots of flashcards of nonsense words with him.
Okay. And did you do an evaluation on Kaiser?
Yes, I did a Woodcock Reading Mastery to try to kind of see where his functioning was at that time.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that test and why you picked it for Kaiser?
It's an untimed test. So it kind of gives you their best read, which is what you're kind of, you're wanting to see what they can really do. It took Kaiser about 90 minutes to complete this test, which is double time what I usually see.
Okay. And I'd like to, it's already in the exhibits, but there is we have a copy of your evaluations. I know there were some, we must have submitted them twice. But would you please, if you need it for reference, look at exhibit, well, it's pages 367 to 387 in the exhibit number 4.
Okay.
Just to use it as I kind of ask you this test, these questions. So can you explain what you found in your report?
Yes. I showed that, he had very, very low reading skills. In basic reading skills, he was well below average at the 0.3 percentile. His listening comprehension was at the first percentile. Not his listening, I'm sorry. Reading comprehension was at the first percentile. However, his listening comprehension was in the average range. So his ability to understand information versus ability to read printed and understand printed text was unexpected, especially with a family history of dyslexia.
And so when you gave that test, did it confirm what the district already found about his dyslexia? Was there ever any doubt that he had dyslexia?
No.
Okay. Was there anything in your test that might have signaled that he didn't have well, I'll withdraw that question. Sorry about that. Okay, what did the report tell you about Kaiser's needs?
That he needed an extremely intensive intervention that was very multisensory and based, that would go back. He really had extreme difficulty matching letters to their sounds. It's like he knew them independently, but he hadn't made the connection together. I'm going to
stop you right there real quick. You said letters and sounds that he had trouble. When should that be mastered? What grade?
Generally speaking, you see the majority of it, especially in the aggressive school systems now in kinder and beginning first.
So that would have been something he should have already mastered in kindergarten?
Especially repeating kinder and doing those basics over again.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. Continue.
What was the question?
I probably threw you off.
Yes.
Just what were your recommendations?
Yes. We recommended that he do a comprehensive program called Take Flight. It's multisensory and it's very visual and it's very kinesthetic, especially with his, his need for movement and, liking to be totally engaged. And it goes fairly quickly, so it keeps kids that struggle sometimes attentionally, it keeps them on task.
Okay. And you recently retested Kaiser. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you use the same test?
I used a different version and created a progress report that measured what progress he'd made and whether the progress was considered significant.
Okay. And what were your findings?
His word identification, word comprehension, total reading, and oral fluency were considered significant over the baseline in previous administration.
You mean his progress was significant? Explain that a little bit more.
So what's nice about this assessment is it takes and it looks what the general growth of a typical student will be that has been in an educational environment. And then you can see if they are progressing at a much higher rate, which is what you need to do to catch up if you're behind.
Okay. And how much therapy has he done so far?
He's done about 50% of the program.
Okay. And how much therapy does he need in the future?
I feel like with Kaiser, he needs every bit of it, so he needs another 100 and whatever, half of 230 is 115 hours.
Okay. Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Mercy?
We can't hear you.
There we go. Good morning, Ms. Stappa. How are you?
Good.
I just have a few questions to make sure I understand things. You're not a licensed diagnostician, are you?
No.
You're not qualified to do a full individual evaluation, are you?
No.
And you've never done those?
No.
And you're not here today to talk about child find issues, are you?
No.
And you're not here today to talk about timeliness of a full individual evaluation, are you?
No.
The testing that you did, well, let me ask it this way. Have you looked at the full individual evaluation that was done by the district?
Yes.
And the testing that you did is a small piece of the same testing that they did, correct?
I just looked at the one area of reading.
Okay. And your testing and their testing is pretty close to the same, correct?
Yes, except for the listening comprehension.
Okay. Now, when you tested him, did you do it by Zoom?
Yes.
Is that recommended?
It's accepted. I mean, after COVID, and the publishers have released procedures and protocols on it to be able to do it by Zoom.
But you, as a licensed professional, know that it's much better to test in person, correct?
It depends on the child.
Okay.
I found after COVID, I was very skeptical, but I found after COVID for some kids, it's exactly the same because I've done them both in person and on Zoom.
Do you know who was present with Kaiser when you tested him?
Who was present?
Who was in the room with him?
Nobody
Do
I know of.
Do you know if there were any distractions?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Those would be things that could affect testing, correct?
True.
Okay. And we showed some improvement with him doing the Take Flight program through you.
A significant improvement in 4 key areas.
Do you know what the pre-flight program is?
Yes, I'm trained in that as well.
Okay. Were you aware that Kaiser was in the pre-flight program when he was withdrawn from Hooks ISD?
Yes.
Were you aware that Hooks ISD offers the Take Flight program on campus?
Yes.
Okay. And it's just, I may have asked this, but let me just make sure. You're not here to criticize the testing or anything that was done with regard to the full individual evaluation, are you?
No.
Pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Corder.
Ms. Staffa, do you often get clients from other states, other places in Texas?
Yes.
And why do you think that is?
The availability of services done with fidelity.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Oh, one more question. Is dyslexia a lifelong condition?
Yes.
Can you cure somebody from dyslexia?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mercy.
I have no additional questions.
All right. We're through with you. Thank you so much for your time, and you may disconnect and go about your day.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Corder, do you have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So petitioner rests subject to some, other need for testimony down the road. Do you rest?
Well, there were some answers that I didn't get necessarily from Miss Fernandez. So I guess I will, I could request, I can ask some of the staff members that I know Mr. Mercy has. So I'll just reserve for that time.
Okay, great. All right, Mr. Mercy, do you guys want to do anything for lunch, or you just want to plow through it? It's totally fine with me. Either way.
I'd like to take if we do lunch, maybe a very short break.
Okay.
I am probably fine with working through lunch, but if we could take about a 10-minute break right now,
yes.
That would probably be perfect. And then we can start back in 10 minutes and
Okay.
I would anticipate, just for everybody's information, that I'll have one, maybe two witnesses, and they should be relatively short.
Okay. How about we come back at 12:05? That'll give you almost 15 minutes.
Okay,
That sounds great.
that would be good.
All right.
Thank you.